Welcome back to Fast Market here on the TD Ameritrade Network. I'm Tom Mike, joined by my co-host Kevin Hinks. But let's bring in our next guest for our cash tag segment. That's going to be Megan Brantley, Vice President of Research at LikeFolio. Happy Friday, Megan.
Happy Friday, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you back here. We're talking Pinterest today. This stock's actually doing pretty well this week. I think it's maybe based on the fact that maybe TikTok gets banned here in the U.S., which would maybe open up some advertising dollars. But what kind of data do you guys have out of LikeFolio on Pinterest?
Yeah, so when we look at Pinterest, I mean, this company is essentially a digital ad catalog that is masquerading as this mood and idea board for consumers. And, you know, it's got this social element, but it doesn't really feel social. A lot of times people classify it as this social media, but you don't really have all of the negative things that could be associated with social media. You don't have any type of, political discourse. You don't have, this concept of trolls and things like that. So it's really, positioned itself as this safe space where consumers can go and search for brands and products that they might like to own, that they might like to buy. And so if you're an advertiser, this should be music to your ears. And I think that, over the past year or so, a lot of people have kind of counted Pinterest out. A lot of people thought that this was just a phase or a trend during the height of the pandemic when people are stuck at home. And, that's certainly, we've definitely seen a slowdown in that user growth. And we saw, a lot of people, some people at least did leave the platform, especially here in the US. But now we're starting to see a bit of a reversal. And so we think maybe we shouldn't be, counting Pinterest out so soon. And so whenever you look at this is the number of the global unique audience for Pinterest. And you can see that obviously it reached its peak during the pandemic if you look at that bar in October of 2020, and then it's been going down since then. But in June of this year, there's a bit of an inflection point, and now things are building again, things are growing again. That global user base is up by about 11% year over year. And a lot of this has to do with changes that Pinterest is making to its platform. It's improving its algorithm, it's improved its AI so that it knows you better. It can use kind of those searches and the things that it thinks that you will like in a more proactive way to serve you recommendations. And we're starting to see some traction there with consumers. So this is one that's definitely caught our eye because, at least in our data, Pinterest is starting to build some momentum again after, sliding a bit over the last couple of months.
Yeah, definitely picked up a little bit, daily active, monthly active users. But when you look at some of this data that you guys have on Pinterest, Megan, the stock's lagging maybe some of the metrics that you guys have. Is it the new things that they're having on their platform that are keeping the eyes on the platform for longer that maybe would change the direction for advertisers to want to be on this? Because it seems like people are shopping more on this app lately.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of just macro trends from the consumer behavior side that are really shifting in Pinterest's favor. We see a lot more mention to people who are actually looking out for shoppable content. And, we talked about this a lot on social media sites like Instagram, for example, but Pinterest also counts as this. And so that concept of people who are shopping for products as they see it appear in content, that's rising. We also see an increase in usage of this concept of visual search. So being able to upload a picture and find an image or find an item that's similar to this thing you're looking for, because a lot of people report, sometimes when you find something or what you're looking for, it's hard to describe that and it's hard to get those results that you want in a lot of these traditional search engines. And so Pinterest is stepping in and saying, hey, just upload a picture, take a picture, and we'll show you a shoppable catalog of items that are really close to what you're looking for. And if you're a brand or an advertiser, this is such a natural link. And so a lot of people are actually shopping directly here in the Pinterest platform. And I think that this concept of personalization too is another area where Pinterest has really improved. On their last earnings call, they talked about a lot of the improvements that they're making to their algorithm so that, these recommendations are updated quicker, so that the recommendations that they're making to consumers are more relevant than maybe they have been in the past. So we are seeing signs that just overall the consumer is kind of shifting naturally to a platform like Pinterest to find ideas and to find brands and products. And also that Pinterest is doing a better job of leveraging its own technology and connecting these consumers with these brands and advertisers.
Megan, the slowing in digital ad spend, the slowing growth of companies like Pinterest, and there's a lot of them, right? All the charts look the same on these companies, and they're all showing slowing. They were growing, now they're not. Now, Pinterest has spent a lot of money that is hurting their overall profits in order to get more growth. And they're adding users finally after a little pause. They're up to 445 million. That's up 1 million in their last report. So is this just a matter of waiting out this macro environment and Pinterest will be set to do well when the overall ad spend gets well? Because frankly, Megan, the list of companies waiting for digital ad spend to pick up, it's getting longer and longer, Megan.
It is, and I think that whenever we look at our data, especially when we look at just the user happiness and also those user conversions, so the mentions of people who actually talk about acting on an advertisement when they see it, those look really good for Pinterest comparatively to a lot of the other names on the list. And I think that this is just kind of a natural design from Pinterest's own design in that, there's just less drama on this platform. If you're an advertiser and you're looking for, where you want to place your ad, there's much less negativity associated with Pinterest versus other places digitally that you could be. And so I think that, it's good, like you mentioned, that Pinterest is growing its user base. And then that second part is that it is really well positioned, at least in our view, versus a lot of peers, to really be able to capitalize on advertising whenever that advertising spend does resume. I think one area that Pinterest can certainly improve is the monetization of its global users. A lot of Pinterest's growth is coming internationally, and Pinterest isn't as good or hasn't been as good at monetizing those international users versus the domestic users. And so I think that that's an area that of potential for growth for Pinterest to get better there. But overall, just as a platform, we do think that Pinterest is really well positioned, especially whenever that ad spend does resume.
Yeah, that might be take a quarter or two at least, Megan. But we don't have earnings for about a month and a half. Do you guys have any score on Pinterest?
So we are just slightly positive, but we really do like this name long term, and we do think that this is one of those longer term macro winners, especially if these user metrics and sentiment and user growth and conversions continue to grow at the rate that they do. Then we're definitely bullish long term for this company.
All right, great stuff as always. Great data. Appreciate it, Megan. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. You too.
All right. That's Megan Brantley, Vice President of Research at LikeFolio, breaking down Pinterest.